Hello guys! Welcome back to our channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my earliest pregnancy symptoms during the 2-week wait. I'm really going to try not to blab and ramble on. I'm going to try to stick to the point here. So to anyone who's new to our channel, we have been trying to conceive our first baby for 3.5 years, and we finally did so through IVF. Our second frozen embryo transfer worked, and I am currently pregnant with my first baby. With that said, my 2-week wait is not exactly 2 weeks. It's more like 9 days because we transferred a 5-day blastocyst, a 5-day-old embryo. So we kind of skipped the whole part where sperm meets egg, and that takes a couple days in itself. Okay, so let's get started here. So I wrote down, how I was feeling every day. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'll just go day by day after the transfer of how I was feeling that day and if I had any notable symptoms or not. So the day after our embryo transfer, I have written down nothing to note. I felt nothing. I did end up having like a stomach ache that day, but totally unrelated. 2 days past the transfer, I have written down feeling something in my left ovary area, like mild ovulation cramp. So I felt this with my first embryo transfer too. It literally felt, I don't know if you guys know what ovulation cramps or pain feels like. It's not really painful at all. But if you know what ovulation cramping feels like, this is what it felt like to me, just kind of a lot more mild. It was just something, it felt like something was going on in my ovary. And like, I would actually have to like rub my stomach because I'm like, what is this? What's going on here? But I don't know what that is. I don't know if that could be implantation or totally unrelated. No idea, but that's something that stood out, especially since it happened in the first transfer too. And it was just one-sided. It wasn't both sides. It was just on my left side, and it felt like my ovary. Okay, 3 days past transfer. I have feeling mild cramps off and on. So mild, it seems like I could be imagining them. Could just be gas. Let me say that because we've been trying for years to get pregnant, I've had a lot of time to read all the pregnancy threads online, baby center, what to expect, all those forums. And I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, okay? If you have a video about your pregnancy symptoms, I'm sure I've watched it. People seem to come up with some crazy symptoms. I'm definitely not the type of person who thinks like, oh no, I sneezed 3 times in a row, I must be pregnant. Or, that dreams mean that you're pregnant. No, I have dreams every night. That's, maybe for you, but not for me. I'm definitely realistic when it comes to what I'm feeling and what could be an actual pregnancy symptom. I know everything that people have talked about as being symptoms. The cramping, feeling nauseous, peeing a lot, whatever else. But cramping is probably the biggest thing that people talk about as a symptom. When I think of cramping, the only thing that I could relate it to is my period cramps, and they are horrible, okay? They hurt so bad. They've brought me to tears before. Because my cramps are so bad, when people talk about cramping during the 2-week wait, that's kind of what I was expecting. I was expecting like unmistakable cramping, can't miss it, but that is not what I felt. When I said cramping that was so mild that I thought I was imagining it, it's because I was expecting like very painful cramps. But I wouldn't even say that these felt like period cramps at all. Like I said, it was so mild. I thought I could be making it up. Anyway, in addition, that night I had a hot flash. I was just sitting on the couch wearing a robe, which I do all the time, and I had to take my robe off. I'm like fanning myself with it because I just got really hot all of a sudden. that was different. That's all for 3 days past the transfer. 4 days past the transfer. Again, I felt a hot flash in the morning when I was laying in bed. I also noticed this day that I was starting to get emotional. Like out of the normal emotional. I remember I was watching a couple YouTube videos, you know, like I always do, and they made me cry, which is just not typical. That's all I have for 4 days past the transfer, just getting a little emotional and the hot flash in the morning. 5 days past transfer. Again, I was emotional. We recorded our infertility Q&A, and a couple times throughout that, I started crying. And my husband's like, "Why are you crying?" I'm like, "I don't know." And I thought in my head in that moment, maybe I am pregnant. I was also feeling slightly crampy in the morning and in the afternoon. Again, take crampy with a grain of salt, because it was not like, oh, like definite like period cramps. I don't know what your experience with cramping is. I think it's pretty subjective and everyone has their own experience, but these were not painful or super crampy or anything like that. So I don't have any notes for the next couple days, which would be days 6 and 7. I just have that for a couple days off and on, it felt like I was about to have a stomach ache, but I didn't. So this, from day 5, when I say cramping, it continued through day 6 and 7. And what it felt like to me was like, I'm gonna have a stomach ache, you know, Hershey squirts, if you get what I'm saying. It just felt like I was gonna have a stomach ache, you know, that feeling in your guts, that sort of pain, crampy feeling like your guts are about to explode. Sorry, but that's what it felt like, but nothing would happen. And it would come and it would go all throughout the day. That definitely stood out, like, okay, what's going on here? Could that be implantation cramping? It's possible. I don't know if that would be actual implantation though, because from what I've read, implantation occurs within 24 to 48 hours after the transfer, but it could be, you know, just the embryo burrowing deeper in and, you know, my lining starting to change. Whatever occurs after the embryo implants, I think that's what that feeling could have been. 8 days past the transfer, I have written down uvula, which is that thing that hangs in the back of your throat, was sore on one side. I thought it was from my mouth being dried out while sleeping, you know, breathing with my mouth open and getting dried out from the fan in our bedroom. I have read and heard about people getting a sore throat or, you know, starting to get sick during their 2-week wait, but this was isolated to just this one day. So I really don't think it's related, but it happened, so I have it written down. It was really just one day where my throat was sore on one side. Again, I don't think it's related, but take it as you may. So 9 days past the transfer. This 9 days past transfer is equivalent to 14 days past ovulation. So that would be the end of your 2-week wait, because 9 days plus the 5-day-old embryo that was transferred, 9 plus 5 is 14. On this day, we went in for our first beta. So happy to say that our first beta came back at 218, which is a great number. I was really hoping for just over 100, but 218 I was so happy with. And pretty much that whole day I had a headache, and it was one of those headaches that I'm pretty sure it was a hormonal headache, because it was just over one eye and like one side of my head, and it hurt so bad. It's the type that just won't go away for anything unless you sleep, and even sleeping didn't help this one. Okay, so even though 9 days past the transfer was the end of the 2-week wait. I'm gonna continue on just a couple more days to our second beta. So that was on Thursday, our first beta, and the next was on Monday, so 4 days later. So 10 days past the transfer, I had a headache still. So it pretty much carried over from the day before, and I woke up with a headache still. Again, on one side, wouldn't go away for anything. I have written down that from 9 days past transfer to 13 days past the transfer, I felt very queasy when I got hungry. So when I started to feel like that hunger pain, it kind of made me feel queasy. Nauseous is way too strong of a word. I didn't feel nauseous at all. It was just a slight queasiness when I started to feel hungry. 13 days past the transfer was our second beta. Our HCG level came back at 1,412, an excellent number. It more than doubled over the 4 days that it was supposed to. So I was really, really excited about that. You can watch our We're Having a Baby video and see when we got the news of both betas and finding out that we're pregnant. Okay, I'm gonna end it there. That's 13 days past the transfer or 18 days past ovulation. So way out of the 2-week wait, but I thought it was appropriate to kind of continue on through the first and second beta results. So that's it for my earliest 2-week wait pregnancy symptoms. To sum everything up that I said, pretty much the symptoms that I felt were hot flashes, being emotional, headaches, and off and on cramping that felt like I was gonna have a stomach ache but didn't. We have documented everything with our infertility journey and trying to get pregnant so far, so I'm going to continue on doing that with pregnancy. So the next update will be from weeks 4 to 6, from when we found out that we're pregnant to our first ultrasound. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments some of your symptoms, if anything that you felt was similar to what I felt. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more updates, and we'll see you in the next video.